Well, hello everybody. It is Tuesday. This is Chattin with CHAP, and I am your host, Ginger Wade. I'm so glad you're with me today. Today we're going to talk about making your library a better place. But before we get onto that, since we are talking about books, the tip of the day is about the log. When you are creating a log for your portfolio to give to your evaluator at the end of the year, simply the only thing that needs to go in your log is a list of books. Books that you have used as textbooks, books you've used as readers, magazines if you like. It's just a list of books that you have used, resources that you have used in educating your children for the year. That is all the log is, coupled with your calendar of the days that you have, 180 days that you have completed, and you are good to go. So, tip of the day. There you go. Okay, so let's get on to our topic, making your library a better place. So, homeschoolers, tell me, what is your biggest addiction? What's the biggest addiction of homeschoolers out there? Raise your hand, say books, right? Love the books, gotta have them. We love our books. If you've ever done the photo booth at the CHAP convention, that's one of our little cards you can hang up, got books. We are always looking for books. So, where do we like to spend a lot of our time? Not at home, but when we go out from home, where do we like to spend a lot of our time? At the library, because it has more books. We love books, right? So how many of you out there have a big stack of books with late fees that you need to pay the library? How many of you are supporting your local library through your late fees that you pay every year? We all enjoy books. Our homes are full of them. We love to purchase them, and those, the ones that we don't own, we go to the library to get, right? The library can be a fun resource too. They have lots of resources for our children, like art classes, dance classes even, elementary and teen events and story times and things like that. However, I'm sure you are all aware of the past few years, there has been some content infiltrating our libraries that is not what we would like children to have access to. And there's also been issues with events that are starting to happen, right? Story hours, drag queen story hours that we don't want our children to have access to. We want to take our children to. We don't want them to be there. We want to accidentally show up when it's happening. So what do we do about this? What do we do about the content that's in the libraries that we don't like, or the events that are happening there? How do we maintain a library space as a safe space for our children to go to not run into questionable material? Well, one option is to go away from the library altogether. So there has been suggestions to start your own libraries. Have you ever seen anyone build those little boxes, a free lending library with a little door, and they put it out beside their mailbox and say, grab a book, lend it for free, bring it back when you're done, or bring another book that you would like to add. That's one thing you could do. You could also collect up books from places. People are always handing books out for free. You could collect up books and start one at your house if you have extra space. Chuckle, chuckle. Or maybe at your church has a library, or maybe the local community center you could use to start a library. It does take a lot of work to do something like that. And homeschool mom and dad might not have time to tackle that sort of a job. Another way that you could work on keeping an eye on the content that's in the library is to get involved with the library board. This would be a great way to directly combat the content of things, what's getting allowed in. There are actually decency laws in the states that are supposed to be being upheld in public areas like that, especially schools. I'm not sure about the public libraries, but definitely in schools, decency laws should be upheld. So that would be something if you went to the school board, the library board, and you brought up decency laws and what is appropriate for children, you could get in there and combat what's going on in that way. Again, that could be a level of involvement that you can't give at this time because of where you're at in life with your children and homeschool and other things. Here's another suggestion I have for you that I think is a little bit more attainable. Consider hosting a library story time, where you choose the books and you set up a story hour. I'm sure you heard in the last few weeks, it's been a little while now, maybe even a month, Kirk Cameron has a new book out called As You Grow, and he contacted a number of libraries to read his book, and they all said no. And they continued to uphold other content that was not appropriate for children. So there was one library who ended up changing their minds and allowed him to be there. And guess what? Like 2,000 people came or something. It was a crazy number of people that came to listen to this story time. And what does that tell you? It tells you that people want that kind of content. They want the good things. They want to hear good quality stories. So as homeschoolers, we love reading to our children. We're reading to our children all the time. I hope you're reading to your children all the time. It's one of the best ways to educate your children is to read to them. And you know what? Read to them beyond their grade level or beyond the level of reading. Don't just read to them readers of their level. Read to them above their level. That teaches them good grammar and vocabulary and so many other good things. But that's besides the point. We love reading aloud to our children. We have lots of great quality books to share with our children. So here's a suggestion. Why not take your story time to the local library every once in a while? You just ask permission to use the space, and they should be willing to let you use it, once a month, once a week, however often you would like to do it. You can share good quality books with the community. And it can be just as simple as that. You take a stack of, 4 little books for little ones. You could specify age, or you could take a variety and read depending on who is there with you. Or maybe it's just you and your kids and you're reading aloud in the library. That's great. But it's as simple as that. Just take a few books, read some out loud. If you're a little more motivated or like activities that go along with your stories, you could take a game that goes along with your stories. You could take a craft that goes with your stories, maybe even dress up. If you have dress up clothes that match what you're going to read, it would be fun for the kids there to dress up and maybe act out what you're doing while you're reading it. Who knows? It could be anything, but simple reading would be wonderful. So the library should be willing to let you have this time and space to do this. If they're not, maybe it's time to start contacting the library board and finding out why, if you are not allowed to do that sort of thing, read quality books. So it's a great and simple way to have an impact on your community. So not only would you be helping homeschoolers, other homeschoolers show up, you can tell your homeschool friends to come and we'll have story time, but there might be folks that show up that aren't homeschoolers. And this would be a great outreach opportunity. Not only would you be sharing wonderful content with others in your community, but you can also share with those who might need a homeschool boost, a little encouragement, or someone who hasn't chosen to homeschool yet might get in a conversation with you and you can tell them all about it and tell them about how it's positively affected your family and your relationships and how the kids are learning and stuff. So you never know what could happen from a simple story time at a library. Keep it simple. Make it something that's very accessible, something, welcome people in. It doesn't have to be crazy planned out unless you really like doing those sorts of things. Or maybe you have a team of people who would work with you and one would pick books and one would do crafts or something like that, whatever. Do whatever, but keeping it simple is always great. Just remember, I was reading through Matthew 5 today, and at one point it's you are the salt of the earth, you're the light of the world. We are the light of the world. So it is up to us to get that light out there. And one way is to go do things like this, a story time, where you can share good things with the community who so desperately wants to hear good things and just needs someone to stand up and do it. So I know you can do it. Consider it. And even if it's not at your local library, maybe it can be somewhere that people are aware of it. Maybe at your church, or maybe at your house, or maybe at your co-op. When co-op is over, you read a story or something. It could be anything. It could be anywhere. It doesn't have to be limited to the library. It could be at the local rec center, if you have a recreation center, like before gymnastic class or something. I don't know. So many opportunities out there. So just think about it. I know you guys have tons of wonderful books. I know you do. I know the heart of a homeschooler. We love our books. So don't be afraid to share those wonderful books with other people around you and to encourage them in their journeys and maybe even bring others in to the homeschool community. So Parents, as you are out there, this is another way that you can be teaching your children and training them to share good, wholesome things with those around you. Teach your children as you teach them to follow Christ in all of life. You're like showing them how sharing your values with others is being a light and being salt. So enjoy your time with your children. Consider doing a library story hour or something similar. Who knows what could happen from that? So thanks for tuning in. Next week, we'll be back on Tuesday. And in 2 weeks, I'm going to be having an interview with my friend Eliza about mentoring. And next week, we'll probably, I'm not sure what we're going to cover, but we'll cover something next Tuesday. We'll see you then. And I hope you enjoy your last day of January. On into February we go tomorrow. All right. Have a good